Hey there. This is Dr. Pam Perry, Pam Perry's Picks. We are doing Amazon Live today and a little bit of YouTube, but we're going to be talking with a young lady, Alecia Hill, who has written a memoir that is pretty, um, well, before giving away any of the tea, is one of the things that will help you inspire you and help you get over a lot of any kind of drama or trauma in your life. So we're going to bring her up right after this.
Hey yo, kick back, relax, let's dive in the page. Pam Perry picks got the books for your brain. From fiction to non-fiction, all genres insane. We coming through showing love to the lit game. Greatest stories ever told, gotta find your pick. Imagination running wild, ain't nothing slick. Get lost in the pages, let your mind drift. Pam Perry picks got your brain in bookshelf vibe. Turning the pages with pride. Pam Perry picks got the words by your side. Bookshelf vibe, turning pages with pride. Pam Perry picks got the words by your side. From the class to you, we got the books for you. Get your mind right, let the knowledge accrue. Bookshelf vibe, expand, memorize, inspire. Pam Perry kicks, keeping readers satisfied. Books up high, knowledge we can't deny. Get your reading on, book one fly. Click cover image.
All right, so let me give you a little bit about the book that you would, before I bring up Alicia. So, From Shadows to Light, a journey of emotional awakening and liberation. All right, and it's really a book that came out this year. And so there is, um, I'll read you a little bit of the back cover. It says, "Are you ready to heal, awaken, and to fully step into your light? From Shadow to Light is more than a journal, it's a sacred space for emotional awakening, deep reflection, and personal liberation through powerful prompts, guided exercise, and transformational activities. Alecia Hill invites you to an intimate journey of confronting your shadows, healing emotional wounds, and rising into your fullest self. This interactive journal is designed to help you identify your hidden fears, limiting beliefs, and past traumas, break free from generational cycles and emotional blocks, reframe pain into wisdom and purpose, set new boundaries, and practice radical self care, not just self care, but radical self care. Awaken your inner strength, faith, and resilience, and also embrace emotional freedom and spiritual liberation. Each page is a step closer to healing, a layered, peeled back, a moment of breakthrough, whether you're grieving, rebuilding, or simply seeking to know yourself deeper. From shadow to light will guide you toward lasting emotional transformation. Your healing begins when you stop hiding from your shadow and start honoring your light. This is really perfect for people who uh, need emotional healing journals or shadow work with inner child healing, Christian spiritual growth and self discovery, trauma discovery, and resilience building. The journals for grief. A lot of people are, you can grieve a loss of a pet, a loss of a job, a loss of a loved one, and also journals for faith and personal enrichment. If you are ready to break through fear, shame, heartbreak, old patterns, From Shadow to Light will be your faithful companion on the journey home to yourself. And that is on Amazon. That is all on Amazon. And so we're bringing to the stage Alecia Hill. Thank you. Thank you for joining us today. How are you?
I am great, and thank you for having me. It is a
Oh,
pleasure to.
good. Good. Well, the question right out the bat
Mhm.
is, what have you experienced that made you want to write this book?
Okay, first, it started out with a memoir, Lost in the Shadows. That was a journey through my experience after my husband had passed, and then getting involved with Mr. Wrong, only to find myself, like many other women, that I never expected to find myself a mother, a single mother, and losing everything I had and learning to journey through this world, experiencing something I never had experienced before, but with a child at that.
Hmm. So your husband passed.
Mhm.
And how old were you when he passed?
I was 32
Okay, so you're a young widow at
at
that
the
point.
time.
And then you had a young child, and then there were a lot of the words that you talk about in the book, a lot of the trauma, and you said Mr. Rom. So you just, without naming any names, what are some
Mhm.
of the things? Was it any kind of abuse or things like that?
No, it was never an abuse, physical or verbal abuse. And that's oftentimes we tend to we do a lot of women do experience that, but no, I haven't experienced that. The Mr. Wrong was someone that doesn't align with me. Now I am a believer in God. Okay.
Hmm.
And see, one thing I learned with after that journey is that, let me quote a scripture where God tell his children do not mix with certain people, right? So it's not necessarily by the race, it's a spiritual thing.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
learned through that journey that, and I understand better why you cannot mix with anybody, because you never know what someone practiced behind closed doors, and someone else could be entangled in their past and have not been delivered, and then by you interacting with a person that is not in line with you, or your spirit man, you can they can take you off the road, that can lead you astray from your God, either your belief.
And that's what I always tell people: don't be unequally yoked. So
Is
when you're unequally yoked, that is one of the things that can end. So I'm digging in a little bit deeper because it sounds like, other than, I'm gonna say that, other than your husband passing and being a single mom, what was the trauma things that made you feel like you needed to write this book? Was it a trigger of did you go to therapy? Were you going to church and you were praying, but there was something that wasn't right? What was it that you were stuck in that your book can help other people get unstuck too?
Mhm. I was stuck in a mental state of constantly repeating the trauma. What to me was trauma because I never experienced something like that, and losing everything and having a son, and at one point we slept in our car. We didn't have nowhere else to go.
Okay.
So it was a catalyst behind one catalyst after another, and
Was
then
it so? It sounds like it's a second story, a little bit, Alicia. That when your husband passed, when you say you lost everything, was it because there was no insurance, or there wasn't? Obviously, people don't know when they're going to pass, but
Mhm,
there is a lot of people who, once someone passes, I had a friend in particular that they didn't know where the mortgage was, they didn't know where that he had homes, they didn't know where the so what happened, because there was no pre-planning for
mhm,
any of this or organization of that, they lost everything. The car, couldn't find the title, couldn't find the mortgages, couldn't find this, didn't know the credit. I mean, all of these things only came out, and from there she spiraled down. Not only was she grieving, but then
mhm.
she was also grieving the fact that she was losing all the other things. They had like maybe 4 or 5 houses they were renting, but the people weren't paying the rent and couldn't figure out how to enforce the rent. It was just what I say, like a mess.
Yes.
And her health went down because of that.
Mhm,
Her entire health. I mean, just mentally and physically. So
mhm.
with you, it sounds like, was that the situation where what happened, and maybe you can kind of help people in a practical way, some of the things that they can do when situations like that happen. What can they do?
No, that wasn't the problem, but the insurance part was, um he's should have been in there at least 2 years before they paid out. By him passing before the 2 years term, they didn't pay out. So
Wow.
before he did pass, it so happened that um, a tree had fell on our home, and so the insurance money, a tree fell on our home one day, and then the next day he passed, and so the money, yeah, from the insurance, I was so able to, take care of his funeral arrangement. So, no, so he
It's
wanted
important to have insurance. If you didn't have
exactly,
the insurance, that
exactly,
would have not happened. That would have been horrible.
yeah, and then eventually we end up moving out the house.
Mhm.
At the time I had two children, small children, and we end up, in another place, and then 2 years had passed, since my husband had passed, when I decided, I was hanging out by myself, and that was different, trying to navigate this road. try to, get adjusted to now being a single mother.
And a young widow.
Yes, and they had kids, and then just and then when they grew up, they wanted to do things on their own. So here I am left again by myself, trying. I can't go to I have a pedicure with my partner no more. He's not here. We can't go out to eat together anymore. So I had to do those things on my own. So adjusted to that, and then my kid, like I said, my children at the time when they were smaller at the time, they wanted to do things on their own. So I was left by myself, and then it was like I said, 2 years after. That's when I met Mr. Wrong. You know how you want to decide, okay, it's time for me to move on. Let me see, can I start moving on? And even though right then and there, I knew my spirit, everything was telling me no, 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 no. But at the same time, I didn't want to prejudge nobody, but I did. I mean, I just want to just go out, hang out. But uh, with
It,
after a couple of months, I couldn't ignore the warning anymore. Like I said, it was never a physical abuse. It was never verbal abuse. It was just something our spirit was different.
mhm,
It
mhm,
wasn't equally yoked.
mhm.
So, and not just that. And see, like I said, I ended up pregnant with my son. Um, but the thing is, what I experienced behind that was a soul tie. Now things begin to years later, I begin to understand what those scriptures mean. Do not be equally yoked with
Unequally
unbelievers,
yoked. Right.
because like you never know. Growing up, those things was never talked about. But
Mhm.
now I clearly understand exactly why you cannot, for the love of God, to entertain anybody that God do not have ordained for you. Okay.
Did you have like a church family at that time, or a pastor that you were counseling with?
Mhm.
How did your books come about to really guide people through the emotional issues and the things that you were experiencing?
No, well, I was involved in church, a certain church at a time, and just listening to people, and just listening to people, and just listen to other folk testimony. And I was like, well, I have a lot to say. Maybe the stuff I've been through can help somebody else, because I didn't quite understood what those things was at the time. Um, Maybe I can help someone be a light to someone else, to help them who feel stuck in a situation, who may feel like they cannot come out of a trauma experience. They
Mhm.
get traumatized, and by it could be any shadow. A shadow can be anything to a person. The point is letting people know you can come out of it. You got to take your time coming out of it, and you must be patient, because a lot of times you think about, at the time I had to step away from church. The reason is not all churches, but the one I was attended, all some of that was superficial. You cannot
Mhm.
trauma and healing take time.
Mhm.
All that next day go off on to do this. No, I had to learn. Sometimes healing take time, and it start with me. It start with me making that decision. It's
Mhm.
time for me to stop crying about this. It's time for me to move on. It's time for me to take the necessary step to put myself mentally and spiritually in a better place. And
Mhm.
not just that, to look back and make sure I don't allow whatever I experienced that traumatized me, that the experience, not to let it happen again. And then last, going back to this book, From Shadow to Light, this is a journal where people can sit down in a personal environment without being judged, without feeling rushed or being fed superficial things, to help them to analyze where they are, think about where they want to be, and have this and take the necessary steps. So this is just a prompt to help them out of the shadow, no matter what it is, even if they the person that called the shadow themselves.
Mhm. Give
Healing.
me an example of read me a part of some of the prompts in the book.
Okay. Ooh.
I saw that you had it there, and I was like, okay, well, she's got the book there. Like, give us an example of some of the.
Okay, now I want to go to chapter 11, boundary blueprint. Now, this is important because we must set boundaries, what we're going to allow to our life with other people and with ourselves. Sometimes we can do things to ourselves that can cause our detriment. So we got
Mhm.
to set boundaries, healthy boundaries,
Right.
that will help us to eliminate things that would cause downfall, and people who will set boundaries. with people so they won't come into our lives and cause chaos.
People
So
have to learn the power of no. It's like a strong word. People
exactly.
don't like to tell other people no, but they have to set those boundaries,
Boundary.
and even like boundaries with yourself. I mean, there can be days where it's like, you know what, I'm going to only eat this much, and
Mhm.
that's it. That's the limit. I can only do 1,500 calories a day, not
Exactly.
1,500 calories in one dessert. Okay, so those are,
Exactly.
those are
Right.
boundaries.
That's what learning it. Once we learn our boundaries and what are causing us to create mishap in our life, that's a start. Just recognizing it and
That is.
acknowledging
That's kind of
it.
like the steps. It's the 10 steps in the AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. They said the first step is just to admit and to
Yes.
recognize, and
Mhm.
that is it. And so that is a particular chapter 11. What's your favorite chapter?
Now this right, this is the prompt, the journal.
Hmm.
Excuse me, one moment. The book fell,
Okay.
but the book, the memoir itself, this is lost in the shadow. This right here, my favorite chapter in here is the awakening.
The Awakening. Okay.
The awakening from the deceptions that what I thought was true was not true.
Hmm.
It used to be a mother. She's no longer with us today. Mother Wallace was a very wonderful spiritual mother. She always told us to learn God for yourself. And,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
my awakening was, even though I was going through those trials, nights when I was in my car, didn't know which way to go. Lord God would have all the scripture like, come on, bring your truth here. When I really got in tune with myself, I
Hmm.
got in tune with God.
Hmm.
That
Hmm.
was a true awakening, and that's what she meant. Know God for yourself, and it's been repeated in the Bible so many times. Even Christ came to tell us where God reside. I was constantly looking for God on the outside, but God reside within me. And
And
you,
it's kind of like the thing where I remember this from a long time ago is God does not have grandchildren.
mm-hmm,
He just only has child.
yeah,
So you can be a mother and know God, but
mm-hmm,
your children can't just by osmosis know
mm-hmm,
God through you. So he
exactly.
does not have grandchildren. He has to have their own relationship with him directly. That is so so true. And then having that awakening is really the part where God speaks to you, directs you, gives you warning, really just provides you with a lot of insight that you wouldn't get any other way other than from God's voice or the Holy Spirit, whatever people really, understand. It's the intuition, it's the instinct, but it's just God. And without that, we kind of out here in the wind, so to speak. We could go either way. And I think people need to know that awakening part is really, really important. Is the memoir written in like from the beginning, from day one, like when you were born, or is the memoir from beginning to now, or how does it start?
The memoir picks up after the passing of my husband.
Okay.
Now, it's another book that stuck from when I grew up. I married instead of say that's me and my late husband story. But this book picks up when after he passed, and then after getting involved with Mr. Wrong, and
Mhm.
then my experience in losing everything. Then after going through so much and mental trauma, it also elaborate on family drama. You know,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know, it's a book it, similar to the Bible. Joseph
Mhm.
experienced it with his family. It's
Mhm.
it's like these are things that happens, and I'm grateful to be able to write it with my experience because, like I said, the awakening too is part of being taught. Like everything is being glamorized. Be
Mhm.
truthful. Some people are looking for real people who experience real things, so they can be able to maybe be able to use their testimony to come out or whatever they are. Because a lot of things, even like I said, this is the awakening awakens so much. Even what I believed in, how I believe about what I believe about God, what I believe about the church, and what I believe about reality. So it's a tier of so much of things that God showed me. If I once I've sat down and paid attention.
And that is the main thing. People do have to sit still.
Exactly.
That's one of the things that's really, really today that people are really into now. They're talking about mindfulness and really just
Yeah.
sitting still.
Mhm.
And so if you go into any store, grocery store, and you look at magazines, you will probably find the term mindfulness as being one of the ones. And it's like, well, why is that so important today? Because we have too much distraction. We're such a celebrity driven
Mhm.
society that a lot of times people aren't um, for real. So
Mhm.
good example is like reality TV. It's not really reality TV. It is
Mhm.
fake, but that's just like a symbol of our culture. Like
Yeah.
we're involved in reality TV that's really not real.
Mhm.
So that can leave a whole lot of emotional wounds, a lot of scars, a lot of comparison, a lot of people just deceiving themselves. You're talking about
Exactly.
deception. Not only are they deceived by the world, but then they can deceive themselves. So it's a whole situation where you do need to sit still with
Exactly.
your book and your workbook, and really just people can relate to that. People can
Exactly.
relate to. I had a friend that was homeless. At a period of time, she didn't let us know she was homeless. She didn't let us know she was homeless until after she got a home. But
Mhm.
for a period of time, she was homeless for about a year, and we didn't even realize it. And it was like, "Oh my god, what kind of trauma were you
Mhm.
in?" And she says, "I just didn't want anyone to know." Part of it was the shame of that, and the other part was just so humiliated, and she just felt like nobody cared. And but once she came out of it, she got herself together. She wrote a book again, kind of like you, where
Mhm.
she's helping other people navigate through that. What
Mhm.
do you think is the main thing that you want people to have, like, take away, from the book? The first main thing that they take away from the book?
Mhm. I want people to take away what I want people to take away is for them to know that whatever they are experiencing is not the end. Their trauma does not define them, and they do not have to stay there.
Mhm,
There's so much power within them, untapped power. I
mhm,
want them to take away, and I know they would take away from reading from the journal, is that they're being unprogrammed and
mm,
reprogramming themselves. They
mhm.
get to take authority over their own mind.
That's true.
Mhm.
Affirmations, do you believe in affirmations,
I
positive
do,
affirmations?
I do, and there's some in the book as well.
Good.
Just to get them started, both some spiritual affirmation and
Mhm,
some written by other poetic people.
mhm,
So
mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, that's really programming your mind and reprogramming your mind,
exactly.
because it all starts on the mind. Because people who have gone through trauma, whether the trauma, is a physical,
Mhm.
mental, emotional, it's almost like it's a way to get out of it, but it starts with that thought. And that's why psychologists and psychiatrists or even counselors, life coaching business is just booming today. So many people need someone to just talk to and be real with, and that's why I think life coaches are really, really popular today, more so than, say, I don't know, 20 years ago. Not so much. I don't even remember a time when my mother talked about, oh, I got to go see a life coach. It was like, what is a life coach? But because life is more complicated today than it
Exactly.
was years ago, my mother and grandmother, life was simpler. Now it's more complicated. And so people need coaching. They need the prompts like what you have in your journal. They need to watch videos like this. So how can people get in touch with you? Can you help people? I know that they can get the book, but after the book, is there any other programs or anything like that? Or are you speaking? What are the next steps for you?
Yeah, because I had a busy schedule because I do work as well. I do network with on other people platforms. I do occasionally Zoom meetings for those
Mhm,
who want to join. And I by me having so many books or different books about helping people, it all depends on what book they want to you collaborate with, so they can advance their personal
mhm.
goals. Um,
But they can email you.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
Alicia Speaks at Outlook.com. They can connect with me on Facebook, Alecia Hill Author. Also
Mm-hmm.
in LinkedIn, Alecia Hill. And
Okay.
Substack as well.
Mm-hmm. And Alecia Hill at gmail.com.
That's not for them to contact me at that Gmail.
Okay.
Alicia Speaks at Outlook.com.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. Okay, at Outlook. Okay, so that's good. And so and Alicia is spelled
E-
Alecia.
yes.
Yep, yep. So that's good. That's good. So I wanted people to know how they can contact you, get the books, and then obviously once they get the books, they can speak with you, and you can kind of maybe even walk them through, or even have them, have you on their podcasts and things like that. So as we wrap up here, there is like maybe a favorite part of the book. Usually it's always at the end. So I always say this about books. So Pam Perry's picks are always like Pam reads the beginning of the book and the end of the book. And the middle is like, yeah, it's good. But the end of your book, how do you end the book? Because that's always like the best part. I'm the person that will get a book and read the end first.
Mhm, mhm.
That's like not the thing, but that's just I always know that the author always leaves the best for last.
Okay. Yes, the end of the book is my reflections,
Hmm.
my reflection of what all those experiences taught me.
Mhm.
And also, it closed with prayers for
Oh,
my
good.
readers that
Yeah.
I want them to be able to um, want them to be able to really analyze what's going on in their life and seek the help they need. The journal also have resources for people to go and contact someone if they
Mhm.
feel like just sitting alone and trying to journal things is not enough for them. So I do have some reference for some professionals
Good.
to get in contact with.
Good. That is good. So it's a real comprehensive memoir pulled into a book and pulled into like a really a self-help guide.
Yes.
Really a self-help guide. That is really, really good. Well, Alecia Hill, thank you so much. People can follow you on social media. In the description box down there, we have all the information there as well. And there's obviously the link to get the book right here on Amazon as we do our Amazon Live. So thank you so much for joining us today on Pam Perry's Picks. God bless you. Take care. Bye bye.